Has 2022 begun on a tense, uncomfortable note for you? You're not alone. This is one of the themes of this year. Hi, I'm Bella of Nourish Astrology. I'm a professional astrologer specializing in empowering people and helping them to connect with their best potentials and make the most out of life. And I'd like to speak about the main themes of 2022. Just the main ones, because there's always a lot more that we can discuss. But a main theme in 2022 is rebalancing ourselves by stripping away the inessential and setting boundaries to safeguard our energy and our key values so that we're not distracted, so that our energies are not siphoning in directions which are not healthy for them. And let's face it, we all have something like that, some kind of coping mechanism, relationships in our lives which are an energy pit where we keep investing, but it's not really sustaining us. It's not really respecting our core integrity of who we truly are. Places where we spend money in ways that shouldn't work for us, ways we make money that are actually like draining us of essential vital energy and taking away our time from things that really matter to us, etc., etc. So 2022 has those themes woven right into it in many different ways. But some of what I'm speaking to is 2022 has a Libra rising, and therefore it's ruled by Venus, and Venus is still in retrograde during this time and in that chart. And therefore it's still connecting with Pluto in Capricorn. It's still connecting to an asteroid called Juno, which speaks to negotiating our various social and relational contracts in a way that is balanced, in a way that is fair, and the backlash of when those things are not balanced and fair. And in 2022, in that chart, the Venus retrograde falls into the fourth house. Now, in the fourth house, that's a pretty good combo for it, but in Capricorn, that can be a bit challenging. So what does that speak to? It speaks to the need to step into a greater self-authority. It invites each of us to take stock of what our core values truly are and how they are or are not woven into our lives, and what else is taking up the time, the space, the energy in our lives, and addressing that. Setting boundaries where need be, cutting down the clutter, both literally in our lives by like literally cleaning house and getting rid of things, getting rid of habits that are eating up our time or that are distractionary coping mechanism tactics that are ultimately disserving us long term. Finding ways to address and speak to the various conscious and unconscious relational contracts that we have made, the way we show up in all our different kinds of relationships, especially in this case, anyone that we cohabitate with or have security needs with, which tends to be the family. In the fourth house, that's what it tends to connect with. The strongest, anyone you cohabitate with, and especially the family of origin, and like parental figures, etc., like all of those kind of things. And the various places where that is eating up our time in ways that are not healthy, or where there is authoritative power imbalance, where we are giving our power away, or where we experience disrespect, or where we simply haven't spoken our current values and needs, and have not asked for the things we want and need, and so they're not being addressed. And those are the kind of relationships that right now are just starting to feel increasingly uncomfortable. This is a year, 2022 is a year that it's not comfortable. At least not at first, not initially. It's inviting a lot of introspection, and it's inviting changes. It's inviting difficult conversations. It's inviting renegotiating of those kind of social, like relational contracts that we have, and that can sometimes shake our relationships. And that's uncomfortable. Having said that, we need to find the vulnerable courage to show who we are and what we're about and what our core values are and core drives are, and we need to be willing to bring that to the table anywhere that matters to us, with anyone that matters to us, perhaps with the exception of some, I mean, you should still bring it to the table in some way, but perhaps in different ways if the people involved and the situations involved are ones you don't feel safe with, or there's any kind of abuse with. That's where you just need to start drawing boundaries that are not necessarily like stripping your heart open bare. Having said that, even that can feel vulnerable. Just setting the boundary can feel vulnerable, even if you're not going any deeper into the how or why, and that's okay. We need to be brave enough to risk our comfort zones right now, by acknowledging where they aren't really all that comfortable, where they are just what we're used to, and where we have gotten used to things that actually are not appropriate for us, either have never been appropriate for us or just no longer are appropriate for us. And so we draw boundaries. Sometimes it can be as simple as you mentioning to a friend that you speak to every day that at the moment it's really important for you to focus on this, this, and this, and so you would really appreciate it if we could shift those conversations to be once a week, for example. Just in that way, just without any, like, it doesn't have to be a conflict, it doesn't have to be anything quite that serious. Very often it will be, because it calls us to set boundaries. Now, in the circumstances where you've already worked on your sovereignty, you're already a mature person who knows themselves and is getting increasingly clear in your current values, and therefore what you want to spend your time and energy on, and your money on, and etc. If you're one of those people, it might just take some conversations like just the one I just gave an example for, something simple like that. If you're someone who has been historically in your life not owning your authority and your ability to speak your truth and to speak to what matters to you, and to make requests for that to be respected and honored, it might take a bigger fire under your ass. It might take bigger conflicts, and the fact is, these kind of things tend to show up as strongly as it would take for each of us to heed the lesson. And with that in mind, I really invite you to lean into this lesson. Really look at what you need to let go of in this time, both people, things, places, habits, all the different ways that your life is being structured. Streamline it, clear it up, detox your diet, simplify, make space for you to, which will enable you to feel more grounded. Gives you more time to invest in self-care, invest in habits and goals which ultimately will feed you. And those things right now are increasingly being supported, increasingly possible. So with that being said, with all of this being said, the invitation is for you to step into this lesson and own it, rather than try to avoid it. Because what happens when you try to avoid it is that authority figures and like people show up with a greater sense of authority in your life, and increasingly feel burdensome to you, increasingly feel stifling. Your life can increasingly feel stifling if you don't put in the work to clear it up. You can feel increasingly overwhelmed because you've got too much stuff, too much on the agenda. You're juggling too many values which are not parsed down. You care about all of it, but some of it you care about more, but you haven't taken the time, or you're not able to say no to certain things. that's going to backfire this year. So the invitation really is for you to renegotiate the contracts, the relational contracts that you have made from within you first and foremost. How are you structuring your relationships, your life, your experiences, especially around all those Venus themes that I just mentioned: money, relationships, mostly relationships, but also the way you make and spend money, the way you make and spend your time, the values you invest in all the different ways, and the ones that you need to withdraw from, at least for now, and perhaps long term if they're really not serving you, in order to have the space, in order to be more intentional, more directional, to own the authority in your life. And once you do own more and more of that authority, that inner authority, and you speak to that and you apply that to your life, you find a greater sense of balance within yourself, which means you can show up more balanced in your relationships, which means the relationships that are in your life that do matter to you can flourish because you are showing up more refreshed, more alive, more able to be responsive rather than reactive, more able to hold space for people, and also nourishing the kind of relationships that hold space for who you truly are and what really matters to you. And that's wonderful. But it's only there if you do the work. So this year more than ever, there's a very powerful invitation to do the work to get your relationships with yourself and with all those all those Venus themes, which includes money and especially interpersonal relationships, to get them to a point where they are sustaining you, helping to stabilize you. And that means removing the things that are destabilizing you. It's not an easy year, but it's one that yields tremendous long-term results, which can shift so many different things in your life in the direction in which you ultimately want them long-term. Imagine a life that you own, that is truly yours, that is built, custom-made for you, the way that it matters to you, a way that like a life that is truly yours and is therefore sustaining your well-being. Isn't that a wonderful goal to strive for? It's worth the hard conversations. It's worth the work. So I invite you into the work. This year invites you to the work, and hopefully hearing me speak on this in this manner helps you to clarify those things and to apply them and to make the most of this year and of the potentials it holds for you. Now, of course, this is only one of the many themes there, but it's the main one. In order to discuss how it affects specifically you, the specific areas it lights up in your life, the very specific concrete examples or practical suggestions, the celebration of who and what you personally are and how this is inviting you into the clarification of what your core values are and what it would serve you most to deal with. All those different things are things that I can offer as an astrology reading that is custom tailored to you, to your questions, to exactly what concerns you, and celebrates those things and validates those things and gives you practical advice from which to move forward, which can really save you a lot of time and a lot of inner turmoil trying to figure it out. And I really wish that for you. So if I can be of service to you, I am taking on new clients right now. And you can find me at nurtureastrology.com. I have a few different things at different price points for different people in different situations, and even a 20-minute reading can still do a lot to help you clarify and to be clear on where you're going and what to focus on, and can really support you at least at a core level. And the longer readings can do even more. So feel free to reach out to me for that, nurtureastrology.com. I'll put it in the link below. Wherever you found me found this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe or follow my page or wherever you may be seeing this for more videos on astrology, on life, on how to make the most of everything. I wish you a blessed day. Thank you for watching.